Hello, beautiful people. I am pretty excited because in today's video, I am going to give you a life update. And let me tell you, a lot has been happening. A lot. Okay, so the first thing that I've been dealing with and working on and progressing has been really getting over COVID. So when I had COVID in August and I got over it, I was like, cool, I'm done. As you would think with like the flu or whatever, I obviously shaved my head. But that really wasn't the end of it. I think I have been dealing with a lot of longer repercussions from COVID. I just didn't put those pieces together until I was talking to a friend and they were like, hey, do you think this could be a result of COVID? And I was like, shut the front door. Now, this is just a guess, but obviously COVID, it hits you where you're weakest. And then as far as the recovery, if I'm going to the gym 5 times a week, honestly, a realistic recovery time to get back to that 5 days a week is about 8 to 12 weeks is what I've been told. I've been told by doctors, been told by people who have had COVID. They're like, give your body time. Like, it is definitely recouping. So I've been dealing with that and just staying really focusing on a lot of the more positive aspects of my life and really just focusing in addition to just, being grateful and thankful for the things I have, also making sure that I focus on myself, which is interesting for 2 reasons, because life, but also because of who I am. I'm such a giving person that for me to take time for myself, for me to do self-care has been quite an interesting journey. Super interesting. Not anything that I thought I would have a problem with, but it's been more challenging than I thought. And sometimes that just means me saying no. I could do it. I'm perfectly capable of doing it, but it's not what's beneficial for me right now in this season. And that saying no has been, I found it more challenging than I thought, is what I'll say about that. Okay, the next thing that I've been up to and that has been keeping me crazy busy. So my mom, who I love and adore, she worked for, I will be respectful and not mention the name of the company. Actually, I feel like I've mentioned it before, but I don't know for sure. But she worked for an airline here in the United States. And because our president passed this mandate that said that if your company has more than 100 employees, everyone has to be vaccinated by a certain time. And with that vaccination mandate, there was very little room for religious waivers or medical waivers. And what I found very interesting, very disturbing, and just very disheartening was that, so whether you believe in the vaccines or not is not the issue. Whether like you think they help, whether you think they don't, yada yada, it's not about the vaccine. What I think was really hard was have my mom, who, she's been with this airline for over 50 years, and which is a long time, like a really long time. And overnight, she's told, hey, you either get this vaccine or you don't have a job. And that's just like really disheartening when she's literally given over half her life to this company. So there was that. Then there was her having to make the decision, like she didn't want to get the vaccine because the vaccines are known to cause blood clots. And she has a history with blood clots. She goes and she sees a cardiologist 2 to 3 times a year, and like they're monitoring her. It's a thing, right? Like this is something that we are concerned about. And it was really unfortunate because her cardiologist didn't want to write her a letter, a medical waiver, saying that she shouldn't have the vaccine, which I thought was trash. Our primary care doctor, so our main doctor that we go to for like physicals, checkups, those sort of things, They said they weren't writing any at all, regardless of what your medical condition was, which is also very disheartening because our primary care doctor, my parents have been seeing since my oldest brother was little, and he's in his 40s. So it's a very long time to be at one office and stick with a certain set of doctors. And so it was definitely a whirlwind. I would say from September to October, it was just like new information and situations coming. My mom had to make the decision to retire, even though I don't necessarily think she wasn't ready to retire in the sense of like she just doesn't want to work anymore, but I think she enjoyed doing what she did. And it was like she was forced to do that. That was really hard. That was hard on her. It was hard for me watching my mom go through that because I love my mom. And then also trying to be a support to her and also help her in the midst of this, right? Because we're dealing with a lot of emotions. This isn't something that we wanted or that was willing. It was definitely by force. And so there are a lot of emotions that go into that. Helping her through that, but also trying to keep a level head to help make sure that all of her I's are dotted and her T's are crossed so that she's taken care of in the long term. That was quite challenging, to be honest. And I am honestly very, very thankful for my siblings. They are marvelous. It was interesting because when I would just get really tired, my older sister and my younger sister would step in. My brother, Brandon, was super supportive. We all have different personality types and handle stress and distress and situations differently. But one thing I am very grateful for is that we did it. We came together as a family and we did it. And it was also cool too because my older brother, who lives out of the state, he called and he was checking on my mom and, just following up. And it was so wonderful that all of us just made sure that my mom was okay. So I'm very grateful, but it was quite stressful. The next thing, so as you guys know, this one definitely took a toll on me mentally and emotionally. Dealing with a lot of personal things, but one of the big things that I had to deal with since like August, I guess, maybe July, whenever I put up my last video. As you all know, I have a ton of food allergies. I have a ton of allergies in general, but I have a ton of food allergies. And I developed a sensitivity to rice, and that was like such a blow mentally and emotionally. So it's interesting because I've been telling people for a long time that I can eat 42 foods. And while I was in Vietnam, I developed an allergy to apples. But I kept saying 42 because I was like, apples, I don't have to eat them. Like, I can easily avoid apples. It's not a big deal. Rice, however, is a huge part of my diet. So I, at the time, could only have two starches, potatoes and rice. And rice got taken away. So I can only have potatoes. Let me tell you, it is very difficult and for me, mentally draining, emotionally challenging to come up with meals, 2 to 3 meals a day and rotate the food so that I also don't develop a sensitivity to potatoes. Now, I am going to go see someone and go and get tested and all of that. But I also realized that I have a lot of trauma around that as well, because in the past, getting tested for foods was not always pleasant. For those of you that don't know, there are different ways that you can test for food allergies. There's a very common one where they mark your back with like little X's and then they put like a drop of whatever allergen you may or may not have for something. So they might have like beef, potatoes, corn, rice, like, I don't know, different types of trees or furs or whatever, and just see if you have a physical reaction to that. And that is not comfortable when you do have a reaction. Had several. And then another one that they do is they look at your blood and see how your blood responds, if it stays good and it looks good and it's still thriving, or if it slows down and there's an internal reaction. And I've had reactions to both. And for the foods that I don't have reactions to in the past, when I was younger, I would do a blind taste test. So I would eat something that I could normally eat, and mixed in would be elements of a new food. So for example, let's say like soy milk. They would put it in with mashed potatoes, and if I didn't have a reaction to it, that's great. So I didn't have a skin reaction, I didn't have a blood reaction, and I can digest it. So it was good. Unfortunately, I think the last time I was really tested thoroughly like that was I was a teenager, so like in high school or right after high school, and I just made the choice to stop because it was just too much. I went into anaphylactic shock like 3 different tests in a row. It was awful. And then I would have other reactions to different things, and I was like, you know what? I have a fairly healthy and balanced diet. I'm okay with this right here. Now that there's this sensitivity, which I'm praying it's a sensitivity, only a sensitivity to rice. And the big difference is there's just some foods that you consume a lot and your body says, hey, this is too much, we need a break. That's what I'm praying it is with rice, as opposed to a full-fledged allergy. But that was really hard because, like I said, it's a huge part of my diet. Like, I eat rice, I eat brown rice, I eat rice noodles, I have rice pasta, I have rice paper, like tortillas. Rice is a big part of my diet. And when I travel, which you all know I love to do, one of my fallbacks when I travel is rice. You can always get rice and chicken anywhere, never a problem. And now I'm like, what am I going to eat when I travel? So I'll update you guys on that and how that goes. But that was definitely mentally and emotionally challenging. Not only because I have to come up with creative ways to make food with my limited diet, but also because I realized that I have trauma around food, which like makes sense, but I've never said it out loud, if that makes sense. And I've just never thought of it as a trauma. I've never thought of it as something that was debilitating or something that would hinder me from doing the things that I wanted to do. I just knew I can eat this, I cannot eat this. Or, I can have this in moderation and this will absolutely kill me. And I was okay with that. And this made me realize that I, interestingly enough, have coped a lot with how I respond and react to food. I actually have a lot of fear about food. A lot of fear that I tend to just like mentally push past on a regular basis. And with this one, with what happened with rice, I just was like, I can't. I don't want to push past it. I don't want to continue fighting a good fight and trying to make things better. I just want food I can eat, and I want to be happy in my corner. Which probably sounds crazy, but honestly, that's what I wanted. I didn't want to have to think about what I was cooking. I didn't want to have to think about the environment that I was cooking it in. It was a whole thing. It still is. I'm getting better. I am going to therapy, which not just for how I feel about food, but for other things, which we'll get into. So I started going to therapy again, and it was something that was absolutely needed. So even before I had this whole thing with rice, which, I feel how I feel about that, but I realized that I need to go to therapy because I had a lot of loss happen in a very short period of time, and it looked different. So loss of relationships, people that I love, and I'll just be honest and open. I won't give names, but people that I was very close to disrespected me in an incredible way. And I really have only two rules for my students, two rules for kids, two rules for people. And the first one is respect, and the second one is follow instructions. Now, the second one is primarily for children. The first one is for everyone. If you can respect me, I can respect you. And if you cannot respect me, we just don't need to interact. This isn't a relationship that's going to be healthy or cohesive or beneficial. So I tend to just not engage. This was really hard because it came from family and from people that were very adamant that we are family and that, you know, they love me and they care for me. And what I realized was everyone shows love differently depending on their life and how they interpret love. And sometimes love, how I receive love, is not how someone gives love, right? Now, love, I believe, is a verb, and that is something that we have to act out on a regular basis. But what made this so hard was there was a lot of talk in this particular relationship that, not like, you're loved, I love you, I care for you, like, you know, there's this a heavy reiteration, and there had been for years, and it's like, it's fine, I love you too. Unfortunately, this particular relationship caused issues between myself and my immediate family. It's very unfortunate. Like, I had one of my sisters was like, I don't trust you, specifically because I kept this relationship. And that was hurtful, but like, I kept this relationship because it wasn't just about this one person. It was about the family unit. And so that made it really hard and difficult when I was extremely disrespected, and I was disrespected at a very low time. When all of that was happening, I also found out that a friend of mine had gone missing, and I had other friends that had passed away. And there was nothing that I could do about it because they aren't even here in the States, they are overseas. And then there was also a certain amount of guilt because, like, I'm kind of going on with my life, but I felt like I should be grieving more. And it's very interesting because when you're not necessarily right with a person, or there's not a day-to-day impact, I feel like it's easy to kind of push out of your mind. But I have those moments where I'm like, oh, let me check on, and then it hits me and they're not here. Or people don't have an update as to where this person is. And it's like, well, I don't know if you've just fully disappeared. I don't know if they're lying dead in a ditch. And that's really stressful and just like heartbreaking, because when I love, I really love. And so it just sucked that all of that happened in a very short period of time. And then on top of it was just like, you know, it's just been a lot of things. And so I knew that I needed to go to therapy. I needed to have a safe space where I could, you know, process through my emotions and process through like what I'm thinking and I'm feeling. And that I just know that it has been very good and beneficial for me, and I am totally an advocate for therapy. I think a ton of people should go. It's super important, but I'm also an advocate for myself in that sense because I needed to get some type of footing, if that makes sense. So there's that. Okay, on a sorry, I had to like totally take a moment. On a happier note, I have been able to spend more time with my family. You guys know how much I love my family. But my sister came out and hung out. My auntie Jan came and hung out. So originally my sister was supposed to come out for her wedding because she and her fiance are supposed to be going to England. That's where her next like station is. Is that what they call it? It's not a deployment, but like that's her next location drop off for the military. And so with everything that's going on with this vaccine and the military and who's taking it, who's not, and la-di-da-di-da, my sister and her fiance decided to like pause to figure out like, are they going to actually send her overseas or are they going to keep her here? And there was just a lot that was happening for her. And to be honest, she's quite an amazing person because she got proposed to in May. She left for Iraq and was in the middle of a war zone from June until September, and then came back and was like, hey, by the way, I want to plan this wedding in like less than 8 weeks. Like, mind-blowing. And mind you, if everything, like all the mandates and things didn't happen, she really would have pulled off planning a beautiful, small, intimate wedding in 8 weeks. She's a boss. Like, I love her. She's incredible. But because of all the outside influences, I think it was very wise of her and her fiance to just put a pause on that and to take the time to figure out like what is going on. And then instead of having a smaller intimate wedding, they are looking at having possibly a bigger wedding next year. So if she is not, I want to say deployed, but that's not the word. It's more so stationed. But I got excited about that. Maybe it's stationed. If she's not stationed in England, they'll be here. And then when they get married here, she'll be able to have more people at her wedding, which is awesome. So yeah, I was helping her with that in the midst of everything else. But since they postponed the wedding, she came out anyway for that week and we just had a good time. Hung out. My aunt was here in town and it was a ton of fun. And I love those things. I absolutely love it. It makes me happy. Finally, this one is a big one. And it's being consistent with my blog, my YouTube videos, Instagram, social media, really overall. I am really proud of myself because I've said I'm going to release a video on Tuesdays and I've been doing that. I've been uploading blog posts 3+ times a week, which I think is awesome. I guess the blog posts are 2 times a week and then I have my YouTube video. And I'm really proud of myself for doing that. That probably sounds so silly, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I'm proud of myself because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So from writing and editing and creating graphics and recording videos, editing them, it's like a whole thing. It's a process. And I am so grateful that is something God put on my heart to do and to start and to continue doing because it has helped me refocus on what's really important when things tend to be very challenging. I don't know about for you guys, but I know for myself, sometimes when, it's challenge after challenge after challenge, sometimes you get really worn out. And I feel like in the midst of that, the best thing to do is to turn to God and to seek his face. And then after that, I think the next thing to do is to figure out how you can serve someone else. Because sometimes I feel in the midst of serving someone else, we also get filled up. And so me helping other people, talking about money and all the things that I've learned in regards to finance and economics and, practical everyday things that are super important that I don't know why we're not taught in school. FYI, that is, me helping other people. And I find that also rewarding and fulfilling. Me being very open and transparent about, what are my goals and what are the things that I'm doing. And hopefully that brings inspiration to other people who struggle and are like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, or I have all these limitations. And if I can do things with my limitations, you can too. We just have to find a way to do that, and helping people find tips and tricks to find ways to do the things that they want to do. So I'm very grateful that I've been working on that project. I'm also excited for some upcoming things, but I'll make a different video about that. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so what's next? I'm very excited. There are several things that I'm going to start kind of rolling out that you guys will get to see. It'll either be on Instagram stories or on YouTube. I'm still figuring it out. But some of the big things as far as what's next, the first thing, and I think the biggest thing, is I am going to focus on self-care. So I realized that with the relationships that I had to let go of, which was very unfortunate, and the loss of friends, that I really have to put myself first because other people aren't. And that seems like a really mean thing to say, but it's very true. Other people are not going to love me the way that I need to be loved. Other people are not going to take care of me the way that I need to be taken care of. I have to take care of myself. And that leads me to another big thing, which is making sure that I am physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially solid. Now, life comes, we have ebbs and flows, right? And sometimes it's really, really good, and sometimes it really, really sucks. But what I mean by being stable in all of that, first and foremost, of course, having a relationship with God, that's number one. And then the second thing is just making sure that I have all my ducks in a row for the life that I want to live. So there are certain things that God has put on my heart to do, and I need to make sure that I just have things taken care of so that I can actually go and do those things. So that I can be of service to other people and I can help other people. And that is, again, one more reason that I'm going to therapy, because I'm putting myself, my healing, and my betterment first, as opposed to putting myself on hold and helping other people, putting myself on hold and doing things to please other people or to, make things easier for them. I'm not moving forward. I'm not worried so much about other people and what's going on. I'm really taking this time in this next season to focus on me and God and becoming the best version of myself. And that sometimes I feel like I've started to experience is just being a little bit better today, right? Not that I need to be some grandiose, oh my gosh, you're so famous, you're so incredible, this is amazing. But just choosing to be a better person today than I was yesterday. Reflecting, learning, choosing to be better. So that's number one. The next thing, I am not planning on really celebrating the holidays in a big way. So normally my family, we get together, we have lots of fun, we play games, we celebrate a lot of the holidays, especially Thanksgiving. This year I did not attend Thanksgiving, which was totally opposite of what I would normally do, especially since I've been overseas for the past, well, not last year, but before that, the past 2.5 years. This year though, I decided again, I'm going to put myself first and I'm not going to overextend myself to make things happen. So I'm not, when it comes to me not celebrating the holidays in a traditional way, that was me not going to Thanksgiving. Sorry family, I love you. Because I just needed to be in a space for myself. Then the other thing is so we celebrated Hanukkah. Let me make sure that's right. Yeah, I didn't get anybody a Hanukkah gift this year. Normally I get people gifts, little things, big things. I try and make it a point. I didn't get anybody any gifts. They got birthday gifts. I'm not getting Hanukkah gifts. I did celebrate Hanukkah. We stayed and we lit the candles and that sort of thing, but I did not exchange gifts with anyone this year. And the same thing goes for Christmas. Not all of my family celebrates Christmas. Some people do, some people don't. And for those that do, they already know that I'm not exchanging gifts for Christmas. I'm not buying gifts for anyone. That's not true. I bought one gift for one person because literally it was on sale for a third of the price, and it screamed her name. And I was like, I'm gonna need that. But other than that, and I think that that's like destined to be just that is supposed to be for one of my friends, and that's it. But other than that, I haven't bought anybody any gifts. Like I said, one of my big things is building my financial foundation, getting financially fit, making sure that I am where I need to be in really all areas of my life, but that's a big one. Finally, which I'm so excited, I am going to be launching a couple of different series on my YouTube channel. And I'm doing this for 2 reasons. The first reason is my hope and prayer is that as people see me being intentional and living my life with purpose and doing the things that God has called me to do, that they are inspired to do the same thing. And the other reason is really for accountability. I think that it is really important to be accountable. And I can say I'm going to do this, I can say I'm going to do that, but I think when people see you doing things, that is what brings inspiration. And for myself, knowing that, I have to make progress on certain things so that I can share it with you guys helps keep me accountable and helps make those things, my goals and the things that I'm doing, come to fruition faster. And I'm really excited. You're going to be seeing a couple of different video like series, and I'm excited. You guys will have to let me know what you think when they come out. Definitely like, subscribe and leave comments. I really love interacting with you guys online, so do that. And that's it. That's what I have. That's my life update in a nutshell. It's probably a really long video, but I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.